Hey, this is Callan with Integral Lifestyle Design, and today I want to show you my own personal lifestyle design model that I use in my own life. Now, in my opinion, this is incredibly powerful. This is probably the most valuable video that I've made up to date. So this is my own model. There's a whole bunch of models around lifestyle design and life balance and stuff like that. However, I personally don't resonate with any of them, so I made my own. It's been a work in progress on or off for about 7 years. So a lot of thought has gone into this, and it's not really complicated. So on the outside it looks complicated, on the inside it's really simple. So basically here it is. So what we've got here is we've got life down the middle. Now, I've got 6 categories for this. I've got time, purpose, relationships, environment, health, and resources. All 6 of these are equally as important, meaning that you need to master all of these in order to have a fulfilling life. So, purpose is the only one that only has one category, but time, as you can see, there's personal, social, and professional. Each one of those is equally as important. You need to sort of get all 3 of those to a good place before you could say that you've mastered that attribute, right? Relationships, the same. You've got personal, social, and professional, so it's the same as time. Resources, you've got security, spending, and investments. Again, you've got to master all of those. Health, you've got to master your physical and your mental health. And environment, you've got to pretty well master safety as well as novelty. So there's a lot here. In order to live the most fulfilling life possible, you have to get all of these to a high level. Basically, that's my model of lifestyle design. And you're thinking, oh, it took 7 years to come up with this. But it did, because there was so much trial and error in the process of trying to figure this out. And literally everything you could think of in your life, because I've run this by, hundreds of people, every single person I show it to can't think of a category or a thing that's missing here. Because it doesn't really matter what you want to do. This is a tool. It's like a hammer or a sword or a spear. It has a purpose. You can use it for whatever you want. You can use a hammer to build different things. You can hit different things. You can do whatever you want. A hammer's a hammer. This tool works in the same way. This tool is a tool. And therefore, you need to master all of these. So in this video, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to go through each little subcategory. And essentially, I'm going to show you how you can craft a vision for your own life and how you can make the most extraordinary life possible. And yeah, I'm starting to implement this, and it's really powerful. It's way more powerful than like Wheel of Life and other lifestyle design models I've seen. In my opinion, I think there's a lot more to it, and it could go a long way. Early days, but it has potential. Okay, so first one is going to be purpose. Here we go. All right, so purpose. So your purpose, especially if you're a masculine being, this is essential. Your purpose is your current primary mission in life. So what is the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning? Now, purpose is really important, right? You need to have a mission, a sort of life mission. And usually the way purpose works is you achieve some sort of goal or you get to some sort of place. Then that purpose sort of falls off. So you keep going on that path, but it'll start to feel empty or it'll lose meaning. And then you'll have to sort of figure out what the next layer of that is. So purpose essentially is a way of like you solve a layer, you move to the next layer. You solve that, you move to the next layer. Solve that, move to the next layer. Now, often these layers can take years, decades. They can take a very long time to do. So I'll give you an example. My purpose at the moment is that I like to help people to improve their lives through education. So I'm a teacher through and through. I work as a teacher. I'm starting up this YouTube channel and trying to teach this sort of stuff. I teach martial arts sometimes. There's a whole bunch of different ways in my life that I teach. And in doing that, I'm trying to teach people how to improve themselves or teaching people how to improve their lives. That for me is my current purpose. Now, maybe in 5 years it won't be. This is the thing about purpose too, it can change. Maybe in 5 years I'll be to a level where I'm happy with that and I might want to go and become a musician, or I might want to become an athlete, or I might want to become a chess player or whatever, or I might want to go down the spiritual road and become a monk or whatever. it really can depend, right? But usually that's how purpose works. So the thing is, you've got to find your purpose. You've got to find what that primary thing is. And the best way I have found to do this, because it's very tricky, I really struggled to find my purpose. The best way to do it, I find, is to eliminate all external distraction. So basically get out in nature or to a place where you won't be disturbed, and essentially sit there bored, maybe with a piece of paper and some food or just the bare essentials, and just sit there and contemplate until something comes up. Because essentially what you're going to do is you're going to remove all the noise and you're going to figure out what it actually is you want to do. And this is so important because so many people just do what they're told to do, or they do what someone else wants them to do. And they might do that for decades and decades, and they'll hit a point eventually when they'll realize they've gone down the wrong path, or like they've wasted their life. And that's really hard. You know, you get people that kill themselves or that just get extremely depressed because they never took the time to sit down for a few days and figure out their purpose, figure out who they actually are, what they actually want in all areas of their life, but also what is that primary mission. And then once you have that primary mission, like if you've read David Data's The Way of the Superior Man, which is a really good book, basically what you do is you try and align everything in your life to help with that purpose. So for me, that would be aligning everything in my life with being able to teach people to improve themselves. And obviously, me improving myself is an essential part of that. Being able to teach others is an essential part of that. And then you got to think everything, like what would my nutrition look like to do that? What sort of exercise would I need to do that? What sort of social circles do I need? Where do I need to live in the world? All these big things, like everything ideally needs to be aligned to your purpose. And some very powerful stuff. So that's purpose. I'll do a lot more videos on purpose in the future, but because it's a big topic, that's just an introduction to it. But purpose is one of the 6 essential parts of lifestyle design. You've got to know your purpose. And if you don't know it, your purpose is to find your purpose. Right, second one is health. Now, health is broken into 2, which is physical health and mental health. We're going to start with physical health. So your physical health is your body. There's a saying that your body's a temple, and it's very true in a lot of ways. Like your consciousness or your awareness that lives in here, your body is essentially the temple for your consciousness. That's how I personally think of it, and I think it's a powerful way to think of it. And essentially, your body is something that you can directly control with your consciousness, right? You can't directly control any other objects apart from your body. That's essentially how physical health is. So the idea is you want to optimize your body to be aligned with your purpose. So if your purpose is to be like inspirational or something, then you're gonna want to have a fit body. You want to have a healthy body. You want to have a body that looks after you. You know, you don't want to be doing things that injure yourself. You don't want to be getting fat. You don't want to be doing all these other destructive habits that will hurt you long term. Because if you sort of damage the temple, say you hurt your body, you hurt your lungs, you lose an arm, you like hit your head and become mentally incapacitated or something, that's going to impact your ability to do your purpose. It's going to impact your overall happiness. You're not going to be able to move around in the world as freely. And I mean, not everyone has control over this, right? Like, for example, I'm visually impaired. There's certain things I can't do, you know, can't legally drive a car, so on. But that's out of my control. With physical health, you need to focus on the things that are within your control. You know, if you have diabetes or a disability or a mental disability or ADHD or autism or whatever you've got going on, or you're missing your legs, you know, you've got to work with the cards you dealt. In all of these, you've got to work with the cards you dealt. I mean, there's some things you can change, there's some things you can't change. If you're overweight, most people can change that, right? If you want to get stronger, most people can change that. So you've got to think about it. Can you change this or not? If you can't change it, don't worry about it. If you can change it, put energy into it. So your physical health is basically things like strength, agility, speed, endurance, and power of your body. Also, you could have like the health of your brain. You could include that in there, you know. How healthy is your brain? What sort of food are you putting in? Personal hygiene is very important, you know. Being able to make sure that you're cleaning your teeth, showering, washing yourself, all these fundamental things. Your immune system, again, your diet and everything's going to play into that, but how strong is your immune system? If you get sick, how sick do you get? Can your body fight off illnesses, diseases, viruses, so on? Use of supplements. So basically, what are you putting into your body? Are you using any supplements in order to supplement various nutrients or overall improve your physical health, again, of this temple that is your body. Drug use and the effects of any drugs you use on your body. So that could be like drugs you're prescribed, healthy things. Maybe that's antidepressants, ADHD medication, like antibiotics, whatever it is. It could be drugs like that. It could also be drugs that hurt you, or things that you shouldn't do often, like alcohol or marijuana or other drugs that, they're more recreational, but you're not taking them for a medical reason. You're taking them sort of for fun or for different experiences, right? So you got to think about that. What effect is any substance you take having on your body or having on this physical temple? And obviously, if you're drinking every night, then that's going to have an effect on your health. And then the other one is disabilities or any chronic illness. So again, sometimes you can fix these, sometimes you can't fix them, It really depends with that sort of thing. Some disabilities are temporary, some are going to be permanent. You might break your leg and it'll heal and you might be temporarily disabled. Or you might like snap your leg off and, you can't use it. So it really depends. If you can control it, change it. If you can't control it, don't worry about it. Move on. Stoic energy, basically. If you can't control it, it's not worth paying attention to. You can only control what you do, right? You can't control things that are outside of yourself, more or less. All right, now we got mental health. So mental health is essentially the internal health. So say that it is like the physical body. Physical body, my external temple. Now, the mental health is the I. This is like the sense of self or the spiritual parts of you. Or it's basically the internal dialogue, the internal states, all the stuff that happens inside of you. And obviously, there's a connection between physical health and mental health. Like if you got good physical health, you're going to have good mental health, and the other way around as well. Okay. So some things to be aware of here. What are your common emotional states? So are you often a happy person? Are you a depressed person? Are you angry? So just think about it. You can even start a journal doing this. Basically, write down what emotions do you feel and how often do you feel them. Because ideally, you want to be feeling more positive emotions. Not many people want to walk around being depressed or angry or whatever all the time. Especially in today's society where people shape their ego around different disorders. So if someone's depressed, they make it a part of their personality. They say that they're a depressed person. And all that's doing is just ingraining it more deeply into your mind. So be careful of that. And then we've got your overall happiness, because happiness is an important thing. On average, how happy are you as a person? Obviously, if things are working in your life, you'll be happier than if everything's going to chaos. Inner peace. Now, happiness and peace aren't the same thing. Happiness is basically feeling good emotions. Peace is more like a calmness or just being content, right? So it's a little bit different. It's more bliss. Think of happiness as like euphoria, and then think of peace more as just like bliss, just as being really in the moment and able to accept what is currently happening in the moment. Then we've got your psychological well-being. So basically, how are you psychologically? Do you have any disorders? Do you have anything you need to work through? Do you have any trauma you need to work through? So on and so on. Are you having nightmares? What's going on there inside of your psychological sort of system? How are you experiencing the world? Because, things are things. Like this hand's a hand. Some people, if I raise my hand, someone might think I'm going to high-five them. Someone with trauma, I raise my hand, they might think I'm going to hit them, I'm doing exactly the same action, but different people interpret that action differently. Next one is addictions. Now, obviously, chemical addictions, such as drug use and stuff, that can mess with your physical health. But then you've got psychological addictions. So this might be addiction to a activity that causes pleasure, like it might be addiction to porn or to sex or to eating junk food or watching movies or playing video games or something like that. Could be an addiction like that. It could even be something that can be positive, like you could be addicted to working, you could be addicted to productivity, so on and so on, that you feel bad if you're not working or being productive. Then we've got mental illness. So this is, any mental disorder, depression, BPD, anxiety, OCD, so on, all the different mental illnesses and disorders people can have. So are you experiencing any of those? Is that affecting your life in a negative way? So on. Next one is your stress levels. So on average, how stressed are you? On the contrary, if you're never stressed, it actually makes you more depressed usually. So you want a little bit of stress, but if you have too much stress, then that can depress you, and that can send you down some really dark downward spirals. And a lot of mental health can be based around stress. Like maybe you don't have a girlfriend, and even if you're okay with that, your body's stressed because it doesn't think you're going to reproduce. There's deeper subconscious stresses as well as like the surface level ones. Like sometimes you can be stressed and you don't even know why you're stressed. So it gets like that too. And the last one I have here is inner game. So inner game is basically your self-talk. What is your ego, or that sense of self, the voice in your head, what is that saying to you? And that can come down to things like confidence, charisma, self-respect, discipline. These are things that would be good to feel, that voice in your head's like working with you, and it's motivating you, and it's helping you to achieve things. But obviously that voice in your head can also say bad things, it can tell you that you're worthless, that you're unworthy, or all these other things too. So what relationship do you have with that voice in your head? That's basically inner game. So that's health, physical and mental. Next one, we have got your environment. There's two parts to this. So environment, you've got safety and you've got novelty. And these are both equally as important. I mean, safety is, do you feel physically, emotionally, psychologically safe in the environment you're in? And then novelty is basically, is there interesting things to do in that environment that you're in? Because, I mean, if you're sitting in a cell and you're being fed, it's a very safe place. Say you're not in a prison, you're just locked in a room and someone's looking after you, then physically you're very safe. The chance of something happening to you is very unlikely, right? Or if you're under house arrest or something. So novelty is interesting. Like you could be in that environment and be really safe, but you could be feeling horrible because there's nothing to do there. So novelty is basically, are there things to do where you are? And that goes like this. So safety. First thing is, how physically safe are you? So do you live in a country that's safe? Is it corrupt? What are the people like? So on. Is it dangerous? Is there crime? So on, so on. Do you need to worry about the physical safety and security of yourself and or others? So basically, are you physically and like socially safe and everything? And once you're safe, then your mind will expand out to the people in your life, and it'll think about, are they physically safe? Are they socially safe? Are they doing okay? Do they have what they need to be comfortable, right? So you can consider a few things like this, like crime. What's the crime rate in your area? What's the chance of you walking down the street and being robbed? I mean, in Newcastle, I'd happily walk down the street on my phone, not even care. I wouldn't worry about anything. But say when I was traveling Cali, Colombia a couple of months ago, I wouldn't not, walk down the street on my phone, because the chance of someone trying to take that would be very high. Like I had an instance where someone held me up at knife point and tried to take my phone when I was in Cali. So obviously it's a much more dangerous place. Weather. So do you live somewhere that has safe weather? If you're living up in somewhere in the snow, are there massive blizzards? Are there things going on? Are there tropical storms or hurricanes or earthquakes or tsunamis or things like that, or that are, they're going to hurt you? Is the weather safe? Is it really hot all the time? Is it really cold all the time? Think about that. It could be as far as the fact too, do you like hot or cold? It could even be a simpler version. Like some people don't like hot weather, or they don't like cold weather. And that's still safety as in like comfort. You feel uncomfortable, but it's not as serious, of course, as if you live somewhere where there's earthquakes, tsunamis, big things. Next one's wildlife. So what's wildlife like in your environment? Like as dangerous as people say Australia is, it's not really that dangerous. Like we've got a spider here that could kill you if it bit you, where I live in Newcastle. So there's some snakes that could kill you, but the people that are actually killed by these animals are like really slim. Like you'd be way safer hiking through the Australian bush than like hiking through the American wilderness, where you've got things like bears and things that can actually come after you and hurt you. Or Africa, where, you got lions and leopards and so on. Things that would do a lot more damage than a snake, because they'll actually come after you. So that's pretty important. You've got to think about the wildlife where you are. Is it a dangerous place as far as the animals and the plants that are in that area? Next one's war. So you've got to think about the chance of war happening in your area. Is there like a lot of tensions between people? Is there something going on? Like you could look at somewhere like Kiev. That environment was very safe, right? In Ukraine, pretty safe place. Like not the safest place in the world, but it was sort of coming up. It looked like a pretty cool place. I actually wouldn't have mind visiting Kiev until that happened. But obviously now the environment in Kiev's chaos because of the war going on over there. And now it's a very dangerous, unsafe place. So that the safety can change. The economy. So basically, is your local currency doing well? If your local currency is doing worse, and things get more expensive, things get more difficult, everything goes up and then you need more money. So what's the economy like? If the economy collapses, then there's a lot of suffering that comes from that. Crime and stuff like that might go up, which makes it less safe. Next one is the government. Is the government where you are safe, or is it corrupt, or what's going on there? Some governments are very safe and other governments really don't care too much about the people they govern. They just sort of want power. So where does your government sit in that? And then linking with that's the last one I've got here, which is corruption, basically meaning how corrupt is the area you're in? Are there people, if you get pulled over by the police, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Are the police going to sort of look after you and help you? Or are the police just going to try and extort you and get money out of you? It totally depends. There's countries where where people just see the police as dangerous because in reality they are dangerous. They just want money or bribes or whatever, and it can be extremely corrupt. Same with governments. Basically, sometimes the only way to get out of very dangerous situations is to pay an official money. So yeah, safety. It's important. You really want to live somewhere that's safe. Like I said, every single one of these is important. Next one is novelty. Just having a sip of water. Because this is a long video. All right. So, do you like where you live? Why? So again, this isn't about safety. This is about, do you like where you live? So you could think of weather again. It's like, do you like the weather here? Do you like the people here? Do you like the culture? Do you like the dating market? Do you like the food? So on, so on. Just whatever you think of. Overall, do you like the place where you live? And then why do you like the place where you live? Next one, are they interesting and fun things to do where you live? So you could live in some little town in the middle of nowhere, and for some people that might be totally fine, and for other people that might be the most boring thing ever. I mean, if you're a city person and you want to go to the movies and go shopping and, go and explore and go to parties and concerts and all this stuff, then you're probably liking, there's a lot of things to do. But if you live in the country and you like all that stuff, then, you're not really going to enjoy living in the country. So you've got to consider that. You've got to consider, are there interesting and fun things to do where you live? Do you have hobbies and things you can go and do in your free time? So that's pretty important. Next one, do you like the people and the culture? So do you like the people in the place where you live? And that could be on a small scale. Do you like the people that live in your house? Do you like the people that live in your street or around you in your apartment building? Do you like the people in your little town? Do you like the people in your city? Do you like the people in your country? So on, so on. And then they all have a culture. Every group of people, culture isn't just a whole country, but every single small group has a certain culture. There's a certain vibe and a certain energy that you get from different groups of people. You know what I mean? You'll feel different things when you hang out with different friend groups. An example for me is I've got different friend groups and they range all the way from nerdier guys to more hippie types to more entrepreneurial types and so on. And basically when I'm hanging out with those different groups, I experience different feelings. And also even myself, because we as humans act differently around different people. So I find even I act differently and my thought processes are slightly different. If I hang out with friends I went to school with, then I sort of fall back into this teenage mentality I find sometimes. When if I hang out with a lot of my new friends, who usually friends I make now are a bit older, probably in their 30s, more often than their 20s, I'm more mature and I have deeper conversations and stuff like that. All right, next one. Is your environment going to help you to achieve your goals? So this is really important. This links back to your purpose. Does the place you live offer the chance to achieve the things you want to achieve? And this is a question I'm currently asking about my little city of Newcastle. I'm sort of contemplating, is Newcastle the place to live where I'm going to be able to achieve the things I want to achieve? And I haven't really answered that question yet, but yeah, that's something I'm personally thinking about. You can consider things like the food, the attractions, the sports, nightlife, hobbies. If you like surfing and you live in the desert, it's probably not ideal. The weather, and then groups of people. What is there? I recently found a salsa sort of Latin dance scene here in Newcastle. That's pretty cool. So what sort of groups and invitations and things are on offer? So that's novelty. They're both really important. Safety is more your physical safety. Novelty is like, what is there to do in the place where you are? Does it keep you occupied, right? One thing for novelty for me is martial arts. Like, I really like it when there's a goju-ryu, which is a karate I do. When there's like a goju-ryu scene there. That's really good for me. So that's environment. Next, we've got relationships. So relationships is really important. That's basically the people in your life. And there's 3 levels to that. There's personal, social, and professional. So personal is basically what I would call your inner circle of people, like the inner circle of people in your life that you see on a regular basis, all right? So this could be your relationships with family members. It doesn't have to be. Like, if someone's in your family, it doesn't necessarily mean they're in this inner circle. It's only family you regularly see. So if you never see your parents, they might not fit this area, or they might only fit it, when you're around them. But for other people, if you see a family regularly, then they're obviously going to be in here. So, and this is when they say, like, you're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Those 5 people are most likely going to be in this box. So personal, relationships with family members, relationships with very close friends. So if you have friends that you like drink with and catch up with sometimes, they're not going to fit in this box. It's more the friends you can have like really deep conversations with, the sort of friends you trust, with a lot of money, you trust them with basically your life. The people you'd call on if you were in real danger and you really needed help. Who are those people? And that's probably only going to be a few people. That's not going to be all of your friends. That's going to be like a few very close friends. For me, that's probably, like 3, maybe 4 people. It's not a big number. And I don't really think it would be for most people. Next one is your deeper and more serious romantic relationships. So if you're just casually sort of hooking up with someone, they're not going to fit in this box. It's more so if you've been dating for, months and months and you're deeply in love with them and you've got like this commitment to build something together, then they're probably going to fit in this box. So a casual relationship wouldn't fit here. It's more a very serious relationship where you sort of are sharing goals and sharing a future together. Because it's very deep. Then the 4th one, which I sort of thought of here, is relationships with pets. So if you've got a pet like a dog or a cat, maybe not as much a fish or something, but if you have a pet that you have a very close relationship with, some people with horses, people that own horses usually have really deep relationships with them. That's a really important part of this too. So what is your relationship like with your pets, with your dog, your cat, whatever? So I think that's pretty important. Basically, the people or animals, if you want to include them, that you see on a very regular basis that are like very key parts of your social circle and key parts of your life. People you'd die for, that you'd help, that would help you, so on and so on. That's personal. Social. So social is more relationships with people you socialize with, but it's not as deep. It's more based around an activity or a common interest, or because you go to the same place or do the same activity, something like that. So this can be your relationships with your friends. This is all your friends. Basically, if someone's your friend, they're going to fit in this box. Unless they're very close friends, and they'd be in the personal. But most of your friends are going to fit in social. They're basically people that you do things with because you have a common interest, or you did something together. Maybe you went to school together, to uni together, you work together, so on, so on. Just people that you're friends with, right? It can be your relationships with people who share a common interest. So maybe you play sports and you're on a sports team. They could fit in here. You're volunteering, philosophy, whatever it is. Martial arts for me. So, I've got a social circle around martial arts. Just anything you do where you regularly see people that you socialize with, they're going to fit in this box. Next one, your relationships with any casual romantic partners. So this is if we've got like a friends with benefits, so you're kind of hooking up with someone or whatever. They're going to fit more under social and personal. It's more like a casual sort of thing. Like you're sharing that common interest that you enjoy hooking up together, or that you're attracted to each other or whatever. But it's not on the level of depth where it's going to become a serious relationship. So someone like that would fit more under like the social category than the personal. Then the next one is your relationships with people you see on a regular basis. So the examples I have here is like a lady that serves you coffee. Maybe you see her every morning and you conversate, you have a little chat while she makes you coffee or something. An old man who gets the same bus as you, same thing. Maybe you just sometimes see him, you have little chats. You see how their day is, maybe you have a chat for half an hour or so. But it's people you regularly see. Like you didn't just see them once. Like maybe you see them every now and then, or you saw them a few days in a row, they'd probably fit in this box as well. So that's social. The third one, I think it needs its own box, is professional. So basically, if it involves money or the exchange of resources or you trading time for money or building a business or whatever, they're going to fit in this box. And obviously, you can have a friend who's like in all of these. You know, you could have say you're married, you can have a wife who's personal, she's your wife and you do personal stuff together. Then maybe you socialize together, you got the same social circle, so you socialize and she's in that box too. And then maybe you run a business together. So one person doesn't just have to be in one box, but you're going to have some people that are only in one box. Like if you work with someone and that's all your relationship is with them, then they'd purely be in this professional box. So here's some examples. So relationships with colleagues, basically people you regularly work with. Relationships with clients, you know, people that you're doing something for. With collaborators, that could be another business or another person that you need to work closely with. With employers, you know, the people that are paying you or giving you a certain opportunity. Relationship with those above you in a hierarchy. So say you've got a manager or someone and they've got more power than you in the company or whatever structure you're in. Then what's your relationship with them? What's your relationship like with your employees or contractors? So if you've got people under you, what's your relationship with them? Relationship with mentors, so basically people that are teaching you things that are based, like more professional things, like maybe you have a coach or you've got a mentor in your job or someone's showing you something or you're an apprentice and like there's a tradesman that's showing you how to do a trade, whatever it is. Then your last one is your relationship with mentees, so people you're teaching, if you're mentoring someone or helping them. So it's not limited to just the things I wrote here, but I'm just giving you examples of each. That's essentially relationships in a nutshell. The next one is resources. Now, it's not just money, because money is a resource, but there's other resources as well. I mean, you can have gold, commodities, real estate, so on, so on. So money is just one resource. Money is a currency. But, you know, a lot of things can be currencies. Resource is basically something you own that has value. Okay? Let's jump into resources. So the first one is security. Security is really important, obviously. It sort of fits with safety in our environment part, very similar. So security is basically, are you making enough money to meet your needs? So are you comfortably able to handle your housing, your food, your bills, etc.? Because if you can't, obviously that's going to lead to stress. Next one is, do you have money saved up in case of an emergency? So if something goes wrong, say you can't work for 3 months, what sort of position is that going to put you in? Would you be able to handle that? Would you have the money to sort of support yourself for a few months if you couldn't earn any? So on, so on. So again, that plays into security. You need a little stash of money that you can just access whenever you want. Then the next one is, are you able to provide for all dependents in your life? So some people just have to provide for themselves, but maybe you have a family, you have children, you have pets, so on. Right? You've got a wife or someone, say your wife gets pregnant, now she can't work. Can you handle that? Can you still pay the bills and, you know, just make enough for the household while she has that child, so on? That's security. Do you have the security to basically meet the financial needs and accumulate enough resources to provide for yourself and those around you? So that is security. Next one, we've got spending. Long video. Okay, so spending. Can you afford the lifestyle that you want to live? So this is kind of personal, because if your dream life, I've made a video about this, usually your dream life's a lot cheaper than you think it is. Say you need $80,000 a year, right? Can you afford that lifestyle that you want to live? If that lifestyle costs $80,000 a year, do you make $80,000 a year? If you do, then perfect. If you don't, then maybe you need to make more money. It just depends. Totally depends on you and your goals. Some people need a lot of resources to be happy, and other people are comfortable with, you know, not very many resources to be happy. I think everyone's happy when they have enough to meet their needs. Like if they don't have enough to meet their needs, they're not as happy. Like if you don't have food and shelter and the basics, then you're probably not going to be as happy. But once you've got those things, some people are completely content with like an average sort of lifestyle, the average amount of resources. But then other people want to stack and they want a lot more. So you've got to figure out what you personally want. And the less you want, sort of the easier it'll be to meet that goal, right? So next one is, do you have leftover spending money to do with as you please? So once you've paid your bills and you've done all this stuff, all the basically, the survival needs stuff, do you have like some play money? Can you go out and party, or can you go traveling, or can you buy the car you want, or whatever, Do you have money to pay for the lifestyle you want? So this isn't about survival at this point. This is about lifestyle. Do you have the money to fund the lifestyle that you want to live? And the final thing I have here is, do you use your resources to help others? Because if you've never given away money, or you've never given to a charity or helped someone financially, even if that's loaning them money, it makes you feel good. So basically, do you use resources to help other people? Because if you have resources, then you're in a position where you can help other people. And you can do what you want. It's your stuff, right? You earned it or whatever, or you accumulated it somehow. But this is basically, do you use those resources to help people? Because it's like an analogy of a cup. You can think of this with love or resources or a lot of things, but once that cup's full, I can only fit so much water in here. Once I filled it up, the water's going to start trickling out. So say my needs are at the top of this cup. Once the water starts trickling out, ideally I can have another cup, or I can use that water or energy or money or whatever it is to help other people that might not have as much as what you have. And that could be through so many different ways. You could just give them money. You could give them a job or an opportunity. You could help them do something, so on, so on. So that's spending. Next one is investments. So resources you have that give you more resources. So invested money that gives you more money. Real estate where someone rents it out and you get paid for that. Basically anything that makes you money without you having to trade time for it. So that could be a business. It could be anything. All right. So first question is, do you have assets that produce passive income? Because a lot of people don't. So basically, do you have some things that make you money without working? Like, I'm pretty lucky. I'm able to generate a fair bit of money that I just get. I don't have to really work for it. It's just because I've accumulated different things that pay me a certain amount of money each year, which really helps me with my life because I don't have to trade time for that. That's really valuable. If you do that to a certain amount, like if you can have enough stuff to basically meet your needs, if you can have enough passive income to meet your needs, then you'll be financially free. And financial freedom is very powerful. That gives you a lot of security. That allows you to do a lot of things in your life. So that's important. Next one, are you saving for retirement? So basically, if you don't want to work forever, at some point you're going to need to have a stash of resources that will last you until you die, right? So if you want to retire at 60, you need to make sure by the age of 60, you have enough resources to basically cover yourself until you're dead. And some countries are lucky, they've got pensions and they'll help you. They'll pay a little bit of money every week or fortnight or whatever. Some countries don't, so you purely just have to cash up. Or you need to have kids that'll give you money. You need to have money coming in somehow, right? And then the last one is, are you building an investment portfolio? So basically, this is again, do you have things that pay you? Do you have real estate? Do you have stocks, bonds, commodities, businesses? Are you investing in companies? Whatever it is that pays you, do you have money coming in that you're not directly trading time for? So that's money, or that's resources. I had this as money for a long time, but I changed it to resources because I figured out the money is just one resource. There's other resources, right? You can get paid in gold, you can get paid in different currencies, so on, so on. So money's a little bit broad. You could get paid in Bitcoin, you could get paid in bread. Just totally depends. All right. And then our next one is time. It's our final one. All right. So you got personal, social, and professional time. Very similar to relationships, but instead of the people, we're looking at the actual time slots. So if you've got personal relationships, this is like the time you're spending with those people. Social's the time you're spending doing social things. And then professional's the time that you're spending working, right? So we're going to start with personal. Okay, so do you have time to spend with your loved ones, and is it quality time? So a lot of people, if not everyone, wants to spend this personal, special time with their loved ones. So with their family or with their, significant partner, with their husband, with their wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Even with their pets, like some people just love to come home and see their dog run up to them and jump on them and all this, or to come home and see their kids like cheer and celebrate because they're home and their kids miss them. Stuff like that. So, do you have the time to spend on your loved ones? And then is it quality time? Are you just coming home and like ignoring everyone and watching the TV and just sort of turning off? Or are you actually spending quality time with those people? All right. Next one is, how do you spend your alone time? Because this is where it's a bit different than relationships. Personal time can also be time that you spend by yourself. It doesn't have to be time that you spend with those people that are like really close. So if you want to go and spend time by yourself, this would also fit underneath personal. So how do you spend your alone time? Then I've got some examples here, like relaxing, journaling, meditating, travel, exercise, reading, so on, so on. How do you personally like to spend your time? And, some people can do destructive things here too. Like they might want to just go and smoke weed or drink or go and play the pokies, So it really can depend on who you are. All right, next one is, how do you spend your personal time with others? So when you are around your wife, your kids, your best friends, very close people, maybe a mentor you're very close with or whatever, how are you spending that time? Are you just sort of wasting it and not really communicating, or you were doing things like that? For some people, this is way more important than others. Like if your love language is quality time, then for you, this would be really important. So that's personal time. Then we've got social time. So this is the time that you spend in like social situations. Not so much just hanging around home with your girlfriend, more you're out somewhere or you have people over or you're going to an event, something more social's happening. The first question here is, how much free time do you have to spend with others? Because some people, they just work all the time. They don't have free time. Maybe temporarily they do, but not always. And how much personal time do you have to spend with other people? The next one is, what do you spend your time doing with other people? So that could be positive and negatives. You could spend your time, you could be doing self-improvement and have a brotherhood doing it with you, which would be awesome. So few people have that. Or you could go and spend time with your friends who like partying and drinking and doing drugs, all right? And that might be fun once in a while, but if you do that too often, it's just going to pull you down. So how are you spending your social time? Then the next one is, what is the quality of your social circle? So do you really like the people that you're around? Are they people that lift you up? Are they people that are making you a better person? Are they people that you really vibe with? Do they have skills you lack where you can sort of help each other? Are they funny? What do they have? Everyone has something. You don't just hang around with someone for the hell of it. What do they have? Are they funny? Are they cool? Are they fun? Are they, are you attracted to them? What is it? What is it that makes you hang out with that certain person over other people? And some people are just lonely. Some people just want connection, and for them, that's enough. But if you have an abundance of connection, then you start caring about the quality of the people you're around, not just that you have people around. It's very possible to feel lonely when you're in a room full of people. I'm sure you've probably experienced that at some point in your life because it's a very common thing. Then the next one, we've got professional time. This is your work, this is your job, so on, so on. All those important things. Basically the way to accumulate resources, networks, connections, so on, right? So the first question here is, do you enjoy and or gain meaning from the work you do? This again is aligned with purpose. Obviously, your profession should be aligned with your purpose. And if it's not, you should work towards it. Like maybe your purpose is to be an athlete. Like you really feel like you want to be a professional soccer player or footy player or something. That's your purpose. You want to be like the best soccer player ever, or you want to be the best footy player. Or you want to be an artist and your purpose is to make art. Then maybe say you want to be a musician. Maybe your job isn't a musician. Maybe you're not a professional musician. You're a barista and you work in a coffee shop, right? But see, that probably isn't the end goal, but that coffee shop job could be a part of your purpose because it provides you with the resources, with the money basically, to go and fund your art and to make your art, pay your bills, meet your needs. And then eventually when your art makes enough money, then you stop working in the coffee shop and you focus fully on your art. Like at the moment I'm teaching, but I want to go into business and basically, as I scale up a business, I would probably teach less and less and eventually transition across into that. So yeah, pretty powerful. That's professional time. And finally, after all of that time, because that was a long video, there's a lot of things to go on there. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to give yourself a score for each of those. So you want to go like personal, social, professional. You can go purpose, relationships, personal, social, professional, environment, safety, novelty. health, physical, mental, and resources, security, spending, and investments. You want to give everything a score out of 10. So if there's only one thing like purpose, that's easy. You just give it a score out of 10. If it's something like time where there's 3, then you give all the little subcategories a score out of 10, then you average it. So say, say maybe you average a 6 or whatever for time. What you do then is you add those scores together from each one, and that'll give you a score out of 60, right? Once you have that score out of 60, basically that is how satisfied you currently are with your life, right? And this for me is way more powerful than any other model I've seen for this. And there's some really cool ways to do this that I'll talk about in the future. But basically look at each one. And what you might notice is you'll see some that are lacking, right? So you'll see one that isn't too well. Like say in time, maybe you're really happy, like they're all like 6s and 7s. Then in relationships, your personal's like say a 7, but then your social's a 4. All right? Maybe that's a problem. Or maybe you live in a really good place and everything's great, and the only thing that's wrong is down here in environment. You just live in a place that's really unsafe, and that really, you don't like that it's an unsafe place. You feel like it's dangerous, like you're in danger. So basically what you'll notice is some of these are going to be higher than others. There's going to be certain things that you're going to want to master more and more over time. So like for me at the moment, the really big ones I'm focusing on is I'm focusing over here in environment. I'm focusing on novelty. On resources, I'm really focusing on like investments, on basically accumulating more money, more resources. And then over here for health, I'm really focusing on physical. So for me, they'd be like the 3 things I want to master. Because you never try and do all of this at once. It's way too much. You basically pick 1 thing to 3 absolute maximum and try and work on those for a year, 2 years, however long. It's a lifetime thing. It's a life. It's not fixing everything in a week. It doesn't work like that. So overall, this is my model. I think it's a really, really powerful model. It took me 7 years to come up with this, and there's a lot of powerful stuff behind it. There's a lot of stuff with spiral dynamics and integral theory and Maslow's hierarchy and all these psychological models, all the Briggs models and all the personality type, whatever. Heaps of different random studies I could go into that'd take hours and hours and hours. But basically, you don't need to know any of that to work through this model. It's a model that can help a lot of people. It's a model that I heavily believe in, which is why I'm making a video about it. And it's like my baby. It's the little thing I've came up with that I think could help people. So, I hope that you got a lot out of this video. If lifestyle design is something that you're interested in, give the video a like, subscribe, comment. I would love to know what people think about this. A comment would be so much appreciated. Because, I'd be really fascinated to see what people think. Because I personally believe there's a lot of value in this. I personally believe that this sort of model can have a massive impact on the world. But it'll be interesting to see, because if no one cares about it, then maybe I'm deluded. Maybe I'm pushing something that doesn't actually have value. I just believe out of my own selfish bias that it does. So I'd love to know what people think. Let me know. Any feedback is great. If you think there's anything in here that's wrong or that could be better, that could be changed, I would love to hear about it. I want to improve it and make it the best model possible. But apart from that, I hope you got something out of it and that you can use it, that it helps you. Overall, peace out. Enjoy the rest of your day. That was a very long video, but I hope that you got a lot out of it. Talk to you next time.